In this video, Nerdarchy gets a little wild.
Whoa, Dave. It's YouTube. We can't get too wild.
Fine, Ted. Let's get savage with this one.
Come on, Dave. You want us to get demonetized or something?
Fine. I guess we'll just talk about the Beastbinder D&D character build for Adventures League. Welcome to Nerdarchy. For nerds, by nerds, I'm Nerdarchy Dave, and as usual, I'm hanging out with this nerd.
Nerdarchy Ted.
Hey, maybe it's your first time visiting Ted's Basement. It's a place where we like to discuss news, views, and homebrews for 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons. And sometimes we even talk about other role-playing games.
So if you don't want to miss a single video, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and attune to that notification bell.
So we've had many videos where we've discussed companions and pet builds, but not really the builds themselves. It's always more of a discussion. Right. So this is going to be the first time I believe that we actually go in there and actually do a pet build. Even our veterinarian, raised by raccoons, forest gnome wasn't really a pet build.
Right, and, we're going to have the corresponding character sheet over in D&D Beyond, as well as the build guide over on DriveThruRPG.
Right. So I guess at this point, since you brought that up, it's only fair to mention that this is a sponsored video by D&D Beyond. We love D&D Beyond. It's our go-to resource for all things Dungeons & Dragons when you're talking about the official content. It's a giant, huge, enormous database that has everything in it, or everything you've unlocked, or all the SRD stuff, which is absolutely free over there. It's great for building characters, building encounters, and just looking things up.
And, if your DM happens to get in on it, you guys could go together. The DM can create a campaign and be able to share that out with the player so that everything the DM has unlocked, you have access to as a player.
And also there's free stuff. We mentioned the SRD stuff, all free over there. They have fantastic videos by Todd Kenrick, as well as articles by people in the industry. So it's a great place to just kind of hang out.
So go check out D&D Beyond. I know we do.
All right, so like we said, we're going to do the Beastbinder. We looked at a couple different races for this one. We looked at Forest Gnome because they can talk to small woodland creatures, kind of makes sense. We talked to Triton because they can talk to the fishes. And then there's also Furbolg. They can speak with beasts and plants as well.
So lots of useful stuff that can be done there. And then when we're looking at classes, there's a lot of different ways to get access to pets. Whether you're talking about a beast companion, a familiar, a steed, or just the overall ways to summon things to your side. So we're looking at ranger, druid, wizard, paladin, lots of different options for how to get access to all these little nitty-gritty little plants, animals, what have you.
Critters.
And
then when it comes to backgrounds, you could go pretty much anywhere with it. Urchin gets that little mouse it starts with, if you care about that. With that, let's jump into it. Let's look at what stats we went with, and then from the stats, we'll go into the race that we selected and the character class.
So, we did not use all the things that we mentioned class-wise, because while diving into this, we found some very interesting stuff. So we knew that we were going to be going with a variety of different classes, so we needed a variety of stats that were going to allow this character to progress. All right, so for our physicals, we went with a 9 strength, a 14 dex, and a 14 constitution.
And then for the mentals, we went with a 10 intelligence, 11 wisdom, and a 14 charisma.
Now, I know we had mentioned previously about going multi-class, and we're talking about, 14 charisma, 14 dexterity. What might we be looking at with these? I know you guys out there might already be starting to try and guess.
So before we jump into that, we'll talk about our selection for race. Now, Forest Gnome, we've used them recently, didn't want to use them again, even though they have some abilities that are kind of cool. Triton, they can talk to fishes and the creatures of the sea, but that option seems a little fishy to us. So that leaves us with the Furbolg, Gentle Giants of the Forest, and they have some really cool abilities that will complement what we're building here.
And when you start to see where those stats, modify, that's going to get us closer, if not right on point for the different multi-classes that we're looking at.
Right. Now, speaking about modifying stats, the Furbolg is going to give us a +1 to strength, as well as a +2 to wisdom. So that's going to take our strength up to a 10 and our wisdom up to a 13.
So that 10 is going to mean we don't have to worry about any dump stats. We've got either zeros or pluses to everything. It's a pretty well-rounded character, if you ask me.
with backgrounds, we decided to go with Sage, and we're going to play this character kind of like a xenologist or a zoologist type character. We thought that might be a lot of fun and different for the build.
So obviously this is going to give us access to Arcana and History, and then when we start diving into the classes, then we'll start actually getting access to, I guess, the skills that are super helpful for what we're doing.
So we're also going to get 2 languages with this, and we took Primordial and Sylvan. Our character studies all kinds of critters, and some of them are not from around here.
Racially, we're going to get access to Common, Giant, and Elven. So, adding Sylvan and Primordial, that's going to give us access to Elementals and, the language of Fae, which is very much in tune with the forest.
So with that, we're going to now look at our character class, and we're going to start in a direction that maybe you didn't suspect, but we're going to go Warlock.
All right, so I know some of you out there might be thinking, Warlock, where is this coming from? Now, it's all going to make sense in the end, but, we were looking at a Charisma caster, and Warlock actually gets some pretty good stuff when you go Pact of the Chains. So this is going to give us access to a better familiar than what a wizard might get access to. And if you looked at those stats, that intelligence that we'd mentioned wasn't really high enough to qualify for multi-classing as a wizard. So that one's off the table.
But with that, we'll either pick up a sprite or a pseudo-dragon. So this way we can have like an assistant for our academic achievements as well as out in the field.
And it'll be something that you can actually use as a cool role-playing tool, both as the DM as the player. Lot of fun to have one of those advanced familiars once you actually get there. But in order to get there, we have to actually get to enough levels in Warlock. So we're actually going to bum rush that and go 1, 2, 3 in Warlock, getting access to that. And then we're just going to be like, yeah, we're done with you. You're Fae patron. You're cool and all, but we've got what we came here for.
So before we do get to 3rd level, and get to pick that Pact of Chains, we get some invocations that we start with at 2nd level. Beast speech, obviously. Now, we did have some ability to speak to beasts before, but this actually enhances that and makes it much better. It gives them the ability to communicate back with us and us to understand them. Super helpful. And also in Beguile and Influence, this character is all about soothing, calming, and knowing other creatures, other beings.
So getting access to that persuasion and deception as a warlock is going to be super helpful. When we took 1st level, we took nature and religion, this character. While the intelligence doesn't show it, there is a studious level to this character. They're building all of these things. So we're starting to acquire quite a bit of skill usage with them. And since we're talking to the animals, being able to persuade them, super helpful in my opinion.
All right, from here we're going to go with 3 levels of Ranger. You can probably guess what we're looking for here. We're going to end up being a Beastmaster, but before we get there, we're going to get a skill, we're going to get a favorite enemy, we're going to get our favorite terrain.
So for our favorite terrain, pretty easy. We're going to go with forests. It's our native homeland, and we're retooling the concept of favorite enemy. When you actually read through that section, it talks about something that you've studied well so much that you know them. So it's not so much as that we hate beasts. It's this is what we study. This is what we know. So we're doing it solely for that advantage on survival and knowledge nature checks to know about them. So that's what we're going for there with that. And our skill, we're taking animal handling, makes the most sense.
Absolutely. We're also going to get to pick up a language. So we went with gnome, figuring it's another creature that we're going to find in the wilderness and someone we may have been able to talk to. I think it'll be helpful.
In our 2nd level, we're going to wind up getting a fighting style. For this one, we took defensive. There's a couple different options that we could have gone with, but since we started off with Warlock, there's a heavy chance that we're just using magic as our primary means of attack. So any of the 2-weapon or archery just didn't really fit well for us, though should you want to make that modification, go for it.
So one of the things we get for Ranger is spells, and on that list is Animal Friendship. That's why we don't need to get a mouse from Urchin, because we can just befriend ones along the way.
When we actually get to 3rd level, we're going to get access to our Beast Companion, and we're really looking at Owl, since we're not going to spend a whole lot of time with Ranger. It's honestly one of those things that Owl has the best, because it's got a flyby attack, so it can move in, make its attack, should you want to do it along these lines. You could be a falconer just with an owl as opposed to a falcon.
Yeah, or if you were to go with a hawk, it would work easily well. If you wanted to use it for scouting, at some point we're going to get access to spells like beast senses, and you could actually look through their eyes anyway.
Indeed.
So now things get a little weird for this build. So for the remainder of 14 levels, we're going to take Bard all the way.
So I've already said that this character is quite studious, with all of these different intelligence-based skills that you're getting access to. We're seeing nature, religion, arcana, and history. So you've got it covered in that regards. So you're going to get access to a lot of stuff to show that and to support the evidence of going down this road. So going Bard, specifically Bard of Lore, gets us in a lot of different directions towards specifically what we're looking for and complements that intelligent style build.
Now, right away, when you begin your journey as a bard, you get 2 proficiencies, one in a musical instrument, took flute, and the other in a skill.
So we wound up going with survival on this one. We're getting as many of these nature-y based skills. So if you're going to be out there, tracking these critters or, whatever else might happen to be around, survival is going to be very helpful for this very forest-based character.
And you can see from the very beginning when this character starts off in academia and very studious and then begins moving into more field operations and very hands-on.
With us getting to 3rd level in Bard, we're going to take College of Lore, as I said. This is going to give us 3 new skills. We're going to take Medicine, Insight, and Perception. This is getting us more attuned to our senses, getting us more aware of dealing with people as well as animals. If you can talk to an animal, I don't see why you wouldn't be able to insight them as well. Medicine is going to allow you to heal them as you go around doing a variety of different things. But those expertises are going to be super helpful as well.
With those expertises, we're going to take survival and nature, so we're going to be really good in the wilderness now.
Charisma is our highest stat at this point in time. So doubling down on those skills that are going to be helpful that don't have our best modifier is something that we're looking at here. So knowledge nature, super helpful for us to have expertise in. Survival, it's something that we just picked up, so now all of a sudden we're really good at it. So
now, at 4th level in Bard, we're going to get an ASI, but we're not going to increase any stats. Instead, we're going to take the feat Observant. So what Observant is going to do for us, one, it is going to make this character more of that watcher character. They go out, they see things, they remember things. But not only that, it's a half feat. So they're going to get a +1 to one of their stats, either intelligence or wisdom. And with that, obviously, we're going
wisdom. This is actually going to round us out to a 14, bumping that modifier up to a +2, helping all of those wisdom-based skills that we have already acquired. We'll have picked up Jack of all trades as well, so that'll wind up helping us out across any of the skills that we don't legitimately have.
So this character is pretty good at doing everything, or at least, better than average.
Better than average. What a way to go. The 6th level Bard, we're going to get access to College of Lore, and we're going to get into, that cool feature, additional magical secrets. So we're going to get Conjure Animals and Flock of Familiars. So this is getting access into the summoning angles of what we're looking for.
So now we're finally going to get 8th level in Bard, 14th level character, and we're going to take that ASI and we're going to increase a stat. We're going to take that 14 charisma and up it all the way to a 16.
Yeah, this is one of the, sad parts about this particular build. You're only going to wind up with 3 ASIs over the, the course of the career. But all of the great stuff that you wind up getting, we think helps mitigate that statistically you might not be a superior character, but you're really well-rounded. And as Dave says, you've got a lot of things and you're certainly better than average.
So as a 9th level Bard, we are going to be able to get access to higher level spells, and we're going to be able to take Awaken, which is great because now those beasts that we find along the way, we can awaken them and basically make them our peers.
Awaken is great. It is costly, but I've seen so many players, so many videos, so many things online where people are like, what do I do with my money? What do I do with my treasure? So this character is not going to have any issues with that. It's like, you know what? Hey, I think you're cool. Let's turn you into, a sentient thing. You could have a whole grove full of creatures that have become completely awakened, through the course of what this adventurer winds up doing.
All right, so 16th level character, 10th level bard. This is a big level for us. We're going to get access to more magical secrets, but we're going to get expertise. So with that expertise, we're going to take perception and insight, making us that much better of perceiving our surroundings, observing, and getting a read for the critters, creatures, and individuals that we have to deal with.
Those magical secrets are going to give us, a number of cool things. First, it's going to give us conjure woodland beings, which is going to give us, some greater summoning abilities. But we're also going to get access to greater steed. So here we can summon our mount companion that, we can be able to do a lot with.
So Bard 11th level, it's a big deal for us. We're going to get planar binding. It's a great spell, especially when we're using conjuration of creatures from other planes, because it lets us hold them here for much longer. It could go all the way up to a year. We don't get spell slots that are that high, so we're only going to be able to hold them for 180 days, but this frees up our concentration and also not having to cast that spell again, or we can just have more critters hanging around.
So really helpful to get the cadre, the army of stuff that you're out there looking for. We're gonna get to 12th level, and we're gonna bump up that wisdom with that ASI. So we're gonna bump that even higher, just because this character is far more skill driven than he is on casting spells that are requiring to hit rolls and saving throws. So that's just an aspect of this character that we just aren't really tapping into. We're focused on just the meat and potatoes of really good skill rolls.
So as a 20th level character, our 14th level in Bard is where we're going to tap out this character and finish them off with our final magical secrets, where we're going to get Conjure Celestial and Conjure Elemental.
We're also going to get Peerless Skill, which is, super helpful, but that planar binding is really going to, tie in to those conjure spells that we just got access to. So now we can get these elementals or these, celestials, and we can keep them here to be like, hey, help me out here for a while, and, we'll continue to do good service together and all that stuff.
Now, the one downside to this, every time you want to hold one of your friends here for extra time, I believe it costs something like 1,000 gold. But, what is the price of friendship? Apparently 1,000 gold for every 180 days or so.
But, again, that goes back to that point that I was talking about, where as a high-level adventurer, you are getting lots of money. And unless you happen to be playing in a game where there is a magic item market that you can buy stuff, gold is something that you tend to get lots of, and it just kind of sits there and accumulates on your character. So, using your gold to buy these, advanced spells is certainly a really good way to use that gold to, as Dave says, buy your friends and to keep them here longer.
It's that time in the video where we like to discuss how to use these critters, these builds that we do as NPCs.
So I think there's a lot of fun things that you can wind up doing with this kind of character, and it depends upon the power level that you want this character to put in there. It could be an old retired adventurer. He's got a horde of animals that have been awakened over the course of his career. You could make a whole section of your world dedicated to this particular character, and he does not allow hunting. He does not allow, anything to come, any creature in his forest to come to harm. You could have legends about, the one who talks, to the animals, to the one who commands, the sky and land, because, they're summoning elementals and angels, at a moment's notice. You could do all of this cool stuff and really just, make this be a part of your world, and it could be awesome, or you could have it as the character who is just barely getting into their power, and they're speaking to animals, and they're walking around with a handful, but not anything that's awakened yet.
Now, you can go the other way too. You can go really dark with this, and instead of befriending and protecting nature, this character could actually be someone that enslaves and takes control of anything, really, doesn't really care. He is still a collector, but he collects them and then he binds them to his will. Maybe there's creatures that are going missing. Maybe there's random attacks that are happening. And all of that is kind of building up to this master villain who basically has this dark and evil zoo where he keeps these creatures prisoner because he likes to look at them, he likes to behold them, he likes to own them, and the more exotic the better. You know, especially maybe if one of the player characters are playing a more exotic race, maybe he'll try and capture and bind them as well.
And, you know, since they're so very skilled heavy, they're so personable and likable, you know, having that high wisdom, that high charisma, you know, they're going to be able to come in and they're going to be able to have a conversation and just be like, oh no, you know, I'm a gentle giant of the forest. Oh, there's no reason to suspect me of anything along those lines. But come on, they're a fey warlock. So they're a bard, they're a warlock. They're all about, you know, schmoozing and whatever. So like, you know, the conversations could easily be like, yeah, you know, there's no need to suspect me. I'm just, you know, sweet and innocent little furball.
Or you could go in a different direction. They don't really care. They just think they're better than everything. Maybe they're a furball. Maybe they're something else. You know, maybe they're a furball in disguise. Who knows? But, you know, I think it would be a great way. This could actually be a villain that you use over the course of a whole campaign, starting off smaller with kidnappings and disappearances. Could be, you know, the local druid is having problems in the forest because something keeps coming in and taking things, or maybe they need supplies, so they're raiding villages. Could be something along those lines. Maybe monstrous humanoids or other kinds of monsters are being pushed away from their natural habitat and closer to civilization because this person is there and he's enslaving and taking over them. So what, you know, they deal with this one problem and then it turns out that was never really the problem at all. It was more of a symptom.
Yeah, so it's great to be able to look at these, you know, these kind of characters in a variety of ways. And honestly, you know, you could take them from either side on any kind of power level, and you could have a lot of fun, you know, playing with this particular thing. The question is this a character that you would play? Down in the comments below.
Or is this a villain that you would use in your game? Before we head on out, I want to take a moment to invite you to join Nerdarchy, the adventuring party, over on Patreon. What can they expect over there, Ted?
So we're creating products for 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons that players and DMs alike can drop right into their game.
But that's not all. We do monthly giveaways, and the patrons get entered automatically.
We also do weekly hangouts with our patrons and more.
So quest on down to the description. Join the Nerdarchy adventuring party on Patreon. Until next time,
stay nerdy.